Anyway, oh my god, I've just been rambling for ages about this film. Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel. In today's video, I'm going to be doing a wrap up of all the movies that I watched in October. Apologies for the lack of videos over the last 2 weeks. I've been busy organizing my nephew's 11th birthday, which was Halloween themed on Halloween, which was actually amazing, but it pretty much consumed my whole life for the last couple weeks. So yeah, that's that. Sorry. So let's get straight into this one. I'm going to open up my Letterboxd diary. Okay, so I kicked off the month by watching Chained. So this one was actually a recommendation from Emma at Spooky Astronauts in one of her videos. So this one was really dark. It's very bleak. It's a thriller. It's about a young boy who gets kidnapped by a serial killer after the serial killer kills his mother. And yeah, he keeps him kind of like a prisoner, trying to then groom him to follow in his footsteps. Like I said, it's very bleak. Great performances in this one, especially by this guy, Vincent D'Onofrio. I would have totally butchered that one. But yeah, he's so despicable in it. You just hate this character, and yeah, he did a great job. I recommend checking this one out. I think I rated it a 3 out of 5, so 6 out of 10. So yeah, it's just above average. So next on my list, I rewatched Get Out, which I absolutely love. I'm a huge fan of Jordan Peele's contributions to the horror community so far. Get Out was his directorial debut, and what a debut. Talk about setting the bar high. For those of you who don't know what Get Out is about, it's about a African-American man, Chris, who's dating a white woman named Rose, and she is bringing him to her family's house to stay for the weekend, and they're meeting him for the first time. It's an incredibly layered film, and it's done so well. If you haven't seen this for whatever reason, you definitely should check it out. Yeah, amazing. I'm sure it's no secret in the horror community how good this movie is. But yeah, so I rewatched this one. Then I rewatched Birds of Prey and the Fantabulous Emancipation of One Harley Quinn. This is such a fun, vibrant, energetic film, and I could rewatch this over and over again. I love it. The story follows Harley Quinn as she tries to get on her own feet after a breakup with the Joker. This is kind of a continuation from the Suicide Squad, in a sense, where it's Margot Robbie's Harley Quinn, which I love so much. I love this character, and it was definitely the best part of Suicide Squad, which I have mixed feelings about because I enjoyed elements of that film, Harley Quinn being one of them. And despite it being an unpopular opinion, I actually liked Jared Leto's depiction of the Joker. It definitely wasn't anything like Heath Ledger's Joker, and completely different vein from Joker, the film with Joaquin Phoenix, but it was fun. Like, I don't know, I enjoyed it. But yeah, I hated Suicide Squad, like the direction they kind of went in with all the CGI and I don't know, that type of story. But I'm so glad that we got this film with Harley Quinn as the main character. In this film, I also love the character of Huntress. I think she's hilarious, so awkward. Oh, I would have loved to see her character kind of developed a bit more, but maybe we'll get another film that focuses more on the other characters. Who knows? Fingers crossed. I love it. So I give this one a 4.5 out of 5, so a 9 out of 10. So next on our list, I then watched American Murder, The Family Next Door. What a disturbing film or documentary. The last 10 minutes of it just made me feel so sick. I don't understand how some people can be so evil. So this film is a documentary going through the real life disappearance of Shanann and her children. The way that this kind of differs from other true crime documentaries is that it uses real first person footage. So Shanann herself, the victim, she was very active on social media. She did a lot of vlogging, lots of videos. So a lot of the time you heard about her life from her own mouth, if that makes sense. So it just made it that much more personable, and it's just very heartbreaking. Like I said, it's super dark, super upsetting, probably not for everyone. Like all true crime documentaries or films or movies or whatever, there is that fine line between stepping over that exploitative line, which, I don't know, I think it did a really good job. It definitely makes you angry. It definitely demonizes Chris, I think his name is. Yeah, so Chris, it definitely demonizes him. Doesn't leave any kind of shadow of a doubt about anything. But yeah, it's incredibly well done. If you're a true crime fan, definitely check it out. It's on Netflix. But yeah, just a little trigger warning that it's quite upsetting. Yeah, so I gave that a 3.5 out of 5. Next on my list, I watched The Butterfly Effect for the first time, I might add. A bit late on that bandwagon, but yeah, so The Butterfly Effect centers around the theme of the butterfly effect, which is the principle that everything that you do kind of makes waves. I'm actually gonna Google that and make sure I'm not talking shit. So the butterfly effect is the idea that small things can have non-linear impacts on a complex system. The concept is imagined with a butterfly flapping its wings and causing a typhoon. Of course, a single act like the butterfly flapping its wings cannot cause a typhoon. Okay, thanks for clearing that up for me. But yeah, essentially little things that you change or all of your actions, they have an effect of an outcome of a sorts. That was kind of long-winded, but yeah, that's essentially what it's about. So it follows Evan, a young man who has had all these blackouts throughout his life, and he finds he has an ability to travel back in time and change historical events, or more so change his past, and which then affects his future. The words. This one's incredibly dark. I remember I actually put off watching this for so long because I heard that there was a scene with an animal being tortured, or there was some kind of animal being hurt or killed. So I didn't watch that, but that is not at all the worst part of this film in terms of disturbing nature. It addresses some very dark and heavy themes, including childhood abuse or sexual abuse and trauma. So it's definitely probably not one for everyone. It's kind of hard to watch. It gives you that drop feeling in your stomach when you watch it, but very well done. I actually really enjoyed it. I recommend it, and I actually found out the other day that there's actually like a bunch of alternative endings, so I'll have to watch them all. The one I watched I was happy with, but I hear that there's some really dark ones, some pretty depressing ones, so I don't have to check it out. I do like dark and depressing. I don't know why, but as you may know, especially from this little picture here, it stars Ashton Kutcher as Evan, but there's also 2 other versions of Evan. One played by a very young, I forget his name. What's his name? Logan Lerman. This dude, I love him. He's in The Perks of Being a Wallflower. I love that film. And also Stuck in Love. I don't know if anyone's seen that, but it's really good. But I love this guy. So yeah, it's him at 7 or however old he was at the time. So little. And also Evan age 13 was played by John Patrick Amadori, who, again, this is going down a tangent, but he was in Stick It. I love this film. I don't know if anyone else has seen this. I don't know. So good. But yeah, I found that interesting when I was watching it. Anyway, I gave that a 4 out of 5 or an 8 out of 10. Really quite enjoyed it, even though it was very disturbing. So next on my list, I rewatched Midsommar for only the second time I ever watched Midsommar, though I feel like I've watched it so many more times because I've kind of watched, I don't know, hours, I'd say, of videos breaking it down completely, which just made me love it that much more. So I rewatched this with my husband Josh because he hadn't seen it. Well, actually, the first time I watched it, he walked in at the worst time during a certain ritual with the main dude, Christian. Yeah, that was hard to explain. I was like, please don't judge me. I swear that I'm not watching some weird sexual thing. Anyway, yeah, I rewatched this one. I love this movie. Ari Aster is a genius in my opinion. Love his work. Very much like Hereditary, his directorial debut, which is my favorite horror film of all time. It's got a lot to unpack. There's a lot of layered meanings behind things, and there's things in the background, and definitely something that's really good to rewatch. It took me so long to rewatch this, much like his first film, which I've watched now probably 5 times. I think I've watched Hereditary like 5 times now. So I'm desensitized to what had happened in Hereditary, and then I am now desensitized to Midsommar, but it did take probably again like 6 months before I've rewatched this one, just because there are those images that kind of stick in your brain. The first time I watched this, there is particular head trauma that like I don't have fear, and I don't know, movies don't really stick with me that much after I watch them. I'll watch them and then I'm fine. Like I can watch horror films by myself. If Josh is away, I can watch them when he's not gonna be here, and I'll watch it before I go to bed and it doesn't bother me. But with this one, I had the weirdest dreams, and I don't dream ever. So I had just had images of head trauma. But anyway, going back to my original point, I was excited to watch this the second time to see the head trauma, because I did some research into how they achieved such a realistic, violent thing, and how they did it was really cool with practical effects. And I recommend checking out a video, or I don't know, I think I read an article and I saw some pictures. But yeah, so cool. I might actually link it in the description box, because if you're a weird nerd like me, then you might find it interesting. So, and then you might want to watch it again, even though it is super disturbing. But anyway, oh my god, I've just been rambling for ages about this film. This film, if you haven't seen it, is about a young woman named Danny who has this horrific traumatic event happen to her. So she leans on her boyfriend Christian, who's kind of not engaged and not as committed into the relationship as she is, not as invested into it. But then she tags along to his friends to Sweden to join in this Midsommar festival. And when they go there, they kind of witness some really disturbing rituals, or I'm just gonna go with that. Anyway, very, very disturbing. Not so much scary. I wouldn't say it's like a scary film, but yeah, there's definitely very disturbing elements in it. Absolutely love Florence Pugh in this, and I love her in actually in everything I've seen her in, but she is amazing. You really feel her emotions. And what sets this apart from other typical horror films is that it's set in broad daylight most of the movie. It's beautiful visually, just so colorful, like you can see in this little picture here, the flowers. Absolutely beautiful film, absolutely disturbing. But yeah, I rewatched this one. Honestly, I've just talked about this for ages. I'm gonna have to cut out so much of what I've said. I gave this a 4.5 out of 5, or a 9 out of 10. Next on my list, and I've logged it, even though it's not necessarily, didn't really work out, is St. Maud. Bought tickets to the BIFF, so Brisbane International Film Festival screening of St. Maud, but only got to watch half of it due to technical difficulties. Absolutely spewing. I was so upset about this. This has been one of my anticipated films of 2020, and it just kept getting pushed back. I randomly Googled it of the week of whenever I watched this, and found that they were doing a screening of it. Got about half an hour in, I'd say, and then the whole screen goes black, the lights go on, and we're told that there's some kind of problem with the hard drive. So we're sitting there for like 5 minutes or so, 10 minutes. They eventually get it back on. They bring us back about 5 minutes back from where we left off, or maybe a bit longer, so had to rewatch what we already watched, which was fine, whatever, what can they do? And then suddenly the sounds is completely different to what we're seeing on screen, and at first I'm not sure, I was unsure if that was just part of the film, if it was meant to be disorientating, but then it turns out that no, that was issues now with the sound, which They then tried to fix and they couldn't, so then they just told us, sorry, you'll get a refund, but pretty much there's nothing that they could do and send us on our way. So I was devastated. It was such a good film from what we saw, and now I had to leave there only having seen half of it and not knowing when we'll actually get to see the rest of it. So that was, I think this was on the 7th of October. It's now November and it's still not in cinemas, and who knows when it will be in cinemas here. Like, so sad. Anyway, I had to just tell that story. Crying real tears right now. Anyway, moving on, we watched Just Mercy. This film was really touching, makes you very angry. That's for sure. It's a true story about a young lawyer who takes on the cases of wrongly accused death row prisoners, and they're mostly people of color. And yeah, it really makes you really angry at the justice system, or the so-called justice system. It stars Michael B. Jordan, Jamie Foxx and Brie Larson. So Michael B. Jordan plays the young lawyer. Brie Larson is kind of his associate, so they're working in some kind of organization that frees or helps or gives support to these prisoners. And Jamie Foxx is a wrongly accused man who's serving a sentence in death row. But yeah, it really makes you think about capital punishment and whether it has a place. I don't agree with capital punishment at all. And then seeing things like this, like that's someone's life and they didn't do anything wrong. I don't know, it's wild to me. But yeah, I really recommend watching this one. It's on Netflix. Well, it was on Netflix in Australia, but yeah, if you haven't seen it, it's very good. 4 out of 5 stars. Oh, I'm worried about this one. So then I watched I'm Thinking of Ending Things. And what I've said is, this was exhausting, I'm so confused, and my brain hurts. And that pretty much sums it up. So I'm Thinking of Ending Things is based on a novel of the same name by Ian Reid. All I can say is that I had no idea what was going on the entire time, and when it ended, I still had no idea what had happened. And I like to think I'm someone who kind of can read between the lines. You know, if there's some metaphor there, then I can kind of pick up on it. I honestly did not have a clue, and I just found it so convoluted. There's parts where it's just dialogue and it doesn't seem to get anywhere. It takes its time and there appears to be no payoff, and it throws all these pieces at you, but they don't fit together. And I feel like this film was 100% made solely for people who have read the book, because otherwise you would have no idea what was happening. It took me 2 sessions pretty much to watch this. So I watched half of it and I was like, I can't keep watching this. Like, I don't know where this is going. I'm so disengaged right now. And I thought, I need to watch this. I need to watch the end of it. I'm sure there's going to be a payoff. Like, there has to be. And then I watched the rest of it and there was not, unfortunately, for me anyway. After I watched this, I then went to YouTube, as I usually do, for an explainer video, and I watched Mariana from Impression Blend's video explaining this, and she did a really great job at explaining it. It made sense to me after I'd watched it, but unfortunately, like, I can only rate based off what I saw, and I just really didn't like it, and it's something I would never watch again. I think this might be an unpopular opinion. What does everyone else think about this? How do I work this? Like, I'm following a whole bunch of people. There's a lot of high ratings. There's some low ratings. Oh my god, I can't use words today. I don't know what my problem is. But yeah, not a fan. Definitely skip it, in my opinion, if you haven't read the book, because you won't have a chance. I rated this one a 1.5 out of 5. So next I watched Molly's Game, starring Jessica Chastain, who is incredible in this as always. I really like this film. Me and Josh watched it and he loved it too. Like, so good. It's based on the true story of Molly Bloom, who was an elite skier who then turned into this poker game running mogul. I don't know if that's the right word to use. Essentially, she darts, this poker game where like Hollywood stars, like well-known people were attending this game. Yeah, so it's pretty much about that, and it's incredibly interesting. Yeah, I definitely recommend checking it out. This one's on Netflix at the moment, in Australia anyway, so this one I gave a 3.5 out of 5. Next one on my list is My Octopus Teacher. I was recommended this by a friend at work, and I really enjoyed this one. It really touched me, and I wouldn't think that I would have been so touched by an octopus, but I shouldn't have been surprised. I'm such an animal lover. I was vegan for 6 years up until last year. Now I'm pescatarian. I would never eat an octopus, especially not after watching this. They are so intelligent, it's crazy. So this is a documentary of a man who visits the same octopus for a year, so an octopus living out in the wild, and he kind of like forms this friendship with this octopus, and it's so nice to watch. I don't know, and there's, you know, ups and there's downs, and yeah, I gave this one a 3.5 out of 5. Moving on, I watched Murder by Numbers, the 2002 crime thriller starring Sandra Bullock, a younger Ryan Gosling, there he is, and what's the other guy's name? And Michael Pitt, I think is, yes, Michael Pitt. So this film is about 2 high school students who commit a murder, and they're trying to outsmart the police. I enjoyed it. It was kind of weird but cool to see Ryan Gosling playing like an evil, dark role. I thought it was a good film. It was entertaining. That guy, I forgot his name again, Michael Pitt. The whole time I was like, where have I seen him before? Because again, I guess this is a while ago. He's younger here, but he's from Funny Games, the American remake, if you've seen that. And I only just watched that not that long ago, so it was fresh in my mind. But yeah, no, it was good. It was dark. I gave it a 3 out of 5. Next on my list was Escape Room. I actually thought this one was really cool. I don't know what the average 2.8 stars. That's not too bad. It's kind of looks like it's veering to the left. I actually really enjoyed this. Me, myself, I'm an escape room fiend. I love puzzles. I love problem solving. So it really appealed to that side of me. And I found it really interesting to watch, like watching like all the puzzle rooms in this. The ending was pretty lame, if I'm honest. It's definitely rewatchable in my opinion. At the Halloween party I had for my nephew over the weekend, I actually put this on for them. So they're 11. And there's not much violence in it, and they really liked it too, but you know, they're 11-year-olds, what do they know? But so the escape room is about a bunch of strangers that get an invitation to experience this escape room, and there's a cash prize. It's like $10,000 or $100,000 or $1 million for whoever gets out first. So they all come together, and there is a reason why they've all been chosen, but that gets revealed later on. The twist is that if they don't solve the clues, then they die, essentially. One of those films. Yeah, very good for 3/4 of it, and then the last quarter is just a bit like, eh. But I don't know, I can forgive it. So I gave this one a 3 out of 5. Next, I had The Exorcism of Emily Rose, which I rewatched for about the 100th time. I don't know how many times, honestly. I've seen this so many times, but I hadn't seen it for probably 10 years. And then I rewatched it the other day, and so good still, so good. It stars Laura Linney, Tom Wilkinson, and Jennifer Carpenter, who is phenomenal in this. Oh my God, her performance is so chilling. She plays Emily Rose. So she's playing this woman who is possessed by a demon. So Jennifer Carpenter, I know her from Dexter, which I love. So I have a soft spot for her. But yeah, no, her performance in this is wild. So this film's actually loosely based on a true series of events where a young woman was possessed supposedly by demons, and she ended up getting a priest to do an exorcism. A few days later she ended up dying. So this film is mostly based around the court case that happened after her death. So pretty much the priest being charged with negligence. Yeah, I don't want to give any more away, but yeah, it's a really good film. Very disturbing at times. There's some visuals that kind of stick with you. Definitely worth a watch. I gave this a 3.5 out of 5. I then rewatched Fight Club, classic, great movie. It's actually interesting. I think I've only ever watched this one other time, and it was a while ago, but I remembered the twist. I don't want to give too much away. I remembered it, and watching it this time, everything just seems obvious, treading on eggshells. But yeah, so it's pretty much about, I might just read this straight from here. A ticking time bomb insomniac and a slippery soap salesman channel primal male aggression into a shocking new form of therapy. Their concept catches on, with underground fight clubs forming in every town until an eccentric gets in the way and ignites an out-of-control spiral towards oblivion. Definitely recommend if you haven't seen it, but yeah, I gave it a 4 out of 5. Next on my list, I watched Hoovy Halloween, which I really enjoyed. It's so funny. It's typical Adam Sandler film. Me and Josh were laughing so much in it about his little thermos and all its little gadgets. Oh, so funny. It's the little things. Hoovy Halloween is about Hoovy, who is this kind of really sweet guy, and he's single, lives with his mother, and he loves Halloween, but he's scared of everything, and he kind of just wants to make sure everyone's having a safe and happy Halloween. And something happens and he wants to try and save Halloween. It's a really sweet, funny film. If you're Adam Sandler fan, you'll love it. I gave this one a 3.5 out of 5. So then I watched Romeo and Juliet, which I love. This is one of my favorite films, I think. I've watched it like a million times. Young Leonardo DiCaprio, oh my god, I just can't even deal. That scene when they meet at the party at Juliet's mansion castle thing, iconic. I love it. I can't help but just get so invested in it. I remember I used to watch this film all the time, but I would stop it at a certain point when things start to go downhill. It's directed by Baz Luhrmann, who I love. Moulin Rouge is actually one of my top 2 films probably in all the world. I love it. It's definitely, it has Baz Luhrmann written all over it when you watch it. The style, super stylized, super eccentric. I don't know, it's great. Definitely not one for everyone. It's kind of a mix of the old and the modern, with everyone's talking in like the Shakespearean not language, but pretty much true to the original play, but then it being set in kind of a new age setting. Got all the cars and I don't know, obviously the fashion. It's an experience, and if you haven't seen it, then I recommend watching it, and you'll either love me or hate me for it. I give this one a 4.5 out of 5. Josh and I kind of went on this marathon of watching Neighbours, or Bad Neighbours as it's known in Australia. But yeah, so Neighbours, what can I say? It's a slapstick comedy, stars Zac Efron and Seth Rogen, Rose Byrne, and Dave Franco. Just a fun movie, easy going. Yeah, so if you haven't seen it and you're interested, it's about a young family who live in this house, and they are trying to sell their house, and then a frat house move in next door. So you can just imagine the chaos that ensues. I gave this one a 3.5, and then we watched right after that Neighbours 2, Sorority Rising. This time stars pretty much the same people, but it has Chloe, oh, I'm so bad with names. It has Chloe Grace Moretz in it. Instead of it being a frat house, the frat house has moved out and now it's a sorority house. Pretty much the same film, but it's a sorority instead of a frat house, and unfortunately it's not as good, but yeah, still worth a watch. 2.5 out of 5 for that one. I then watched Veronica for the first time. So there was so much, I remember there was so much hype over this movie when it first came out, saying it was like the scariest film ever or something like that, which I never fall for those type of things. I don't know. So I finally watched it and it's all right, but it's average. I didn't hate it, like I didn't not like it. I wouldn't watch it again. Essentially it's about a teenage girl who does a Ouija board during an eclipse, and it kind of invites this demon into her life. It's quite creepy. I don't know, it's not really original. It's a little bit lame. I don't really recommend it, but I definitely don't hate it. I don't know. Take it as you please, whatever. Yeah, average. I gave this one a 2.5. Next, I watched The Craft. Kind of a little story, a little sidetrack. I was actually going to do a review of this film last week, but with all the craziness of the party that I was planning, I really didn't have time. I actually started to record, but my head was just not in it. I actually dressed up as Nancy in this film, which I probably should do still. Maybe I'll do a review of the new film and kind of compare it to the old film and dress up as Nancy again, because that was fun. Anyway, getting back to this, I actually had never seen this film until last week, which is crazy now when I think about it. I love witches and I love gothy teens, like punky. I don't know, this is like my film. If you haven't seen it, I recommend it. It's about a newcomer named Sarah. She's a new student at this Catholic school. She gets befriended by these 3 other girls and they kind of form a coven. I was worried before watching this that it wasn't going to hold up. This is a 90s film and it exudes 90s, which I love. The fashion is amazing, the music in it. But yeah, I was worried that being in the 90s and like being like a witchcraft kind of film, that the CGI was going to be terrible, because I don't even like CGI now, but there wasn't actually that much in it. There was a bit, and some of it was a bit corny, but I reckon it holds up. I'm not sure how the new Craft is going to hold up in comparison. Like, I saw a trailer for it. It just doesn't have the same kind of vibe. Like, these girls are just these badass, like, don't give a shit kind of hunky chicks with attitude. I don't know, I love them. Like, and then I see the new trailer, it just kind of seems like they don't have that same kind of grit, that same kind of edge. We'll see. I might watch it this week and I might do a video comparison, who knows. Really like this one. I gave it a 3.5 out of 5. And then last on my list, on Halloween, while I was preparing the party, I put on The Ring in the background. What can I say? I've seen this a million times. It's an incredible movie. If you haven't watched it, then you gotta watch it. If you don't know what it's about a videotape that kills everyone who watches it 7 days after they've seen it. It stars Naomi Watts. It's super dark. Like, even from this photo that you can see now, you can see the color. It's that greeny, the cold bluey green wash over all the scenes. I don't know, it's a really good movie. So I give this one a 4.5 out of 5. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed this video. I know I did ramble on a bit in some of the parts. I'm really sorry. I'm probably going to have to cut a lot of it out. But anyway, that's what I watched in October. Let me know if you watched any cool films this month or last month just gone that I should know about. Put it in the comments below. If you like this, give it a thumbs up. Don't forget to subscribe, and I'll see you next time. Thanks for watching. Bye.